Our first in-person concert of this season of 2022. Hopefully you noticed as you were coming in a couple of displays set up. Number one, this being our fall concert, our marching band is obviously right in the thick of their season, and if you hadn't heard the good news, came away with a very successful run this past Saturday, and you saw some of those trophies demonstrated there, as well as, you know, here at WBHS High School, we pride ourselves on the idea of superior performance in all facets, and we are pleased to say that the marching band for our school came away with what we call straight superiors. That means every aspect of our program was marched very, very well. So hopefully you got a chance to look at that. Additionally, especially for our yeah, absolutely. Additionally, especially for our ninth grade parents who are new here for WBHS High School, at least as far as the band program. Hopefully you also noticed that the way that we do programs is through a QR code. We kind of started that over the past year or so, just to avoid so much trash being left behind of people who want to see what's being played, but are not necessarily interested in taking those pieces of paper home. Now, if you're like my mother, you might be a stickler for having that actual paper copy and something to keep in a sketchbook, not sketchbook, what do they call it, scrapbooks, or something like that. So if you're one of those people who would really like to have a paper copy, I'd be happy to produce that for you. If you'll just see me at the end of the concert, or ask your student to come find me. I'll also have it posted in their Google Classroom so you can print it off yourself if you would really like to have that physical copy. But I found just in the past that most of the time I end up walking the aisles and cleaning up copies of those things. So we're trying to use the technology in the best possible way here. Okay. The band that you see on the stage at the moment here is our third block band. This is mainly made up of our ninth graders who are technically registered for our beginning band. Very few of these students are actual beginners. As you guys know, most of them have come through a strong middle school program, both at Russell as well as Bear Creek, as well as some other students who have moved in. We also do have a couple of pure beginners, students who are trying band for the first time and who are succeeding very, very quickly at picking things up. Mostly not because of anything I'm doing, but because we also have a good smattering of students who could not get band any other class or any other period. So we also have a couple of seniors who have been participating in our beginning band class and have basically been forced into the role of assistant band director quite a bit in trying to help catch some of these students up and to offer their veteran leadership. So I would like to give a little quick acknowledgement to our seniors. If you're one of our senior or an upperclassman, if you'll please stand here for us. Yeah, get on up. And as you see, we have quite a few. They're in the back there, but our four percussionists hanging out in the back are also some seniors who've been doing a great job of helping improve the hands of our upcoming percussion. That's enough talk for me. A couple of reminders about how a concert in a gym works best. We definitely understand that people are going to need to use the restroom, are going to need to kind of come and go, or just need to stretch their legs at some point. We would ask, simply because these bleachers are so noisy, we would ask that you at least wait between pieces of music before you get up and about. Your students, if you are waiting for a band that performs a little bit later, our second block or our third block or our marching band later on, we've asked those students to either be in the bleachers, as you see, or if they didn't feel like they could kind of sit there, we've asked that they stay in the band room and keep the door closed so that they're not interrupting what we got going on here. Similarly, if you have a phone, we would appreciate if you put that on either airplane mode or at least put it on silent so we're not having anything go off. We do have one student who is recording our concert here down below, so we would like to get a good recording out of that. Speaking of which, you heard me say at the beginning that this is our first in-person concert. This is actually not the first concert that your students have put on this year. Earlier this year, we went ahead and recorded and did a recording session, 3 other pieces. We partnered up with our school music technology class and actually had students who are both in band and also a part of the music technology pathway actually act as recording engineers and set up the microphones, decide how they want to record, and have since been editing those performances for all 3 bands. Those aren't quite ready to be handed out or passed out to you guys this evening, but be on the lookout for, through the Remind system and through your students' Google Classrooms, links for those recordings. So this is actually our second concert, but the first one that we have in front of you. So without further ado, we're going to start with our third period band, our beginning band class, performing a classic piece of young band literature from a standard composer, Anne McGinty, also a Facebook friend of mine. In any case, Anne McGinty and her piece, Mystic Legend. The next piece in our program is based on a very familiar tune. It's called a childhood hymn, based on the a tune that I'm sure many of you grew up singing at some point, especially if you ever went to a vacation Bible school or anything like that. It's based on the song "Jesus Loves Me." But what's done with this tune is really, really mature in some of the different harmonies that the composer David Holsinger actually does with this. So even though it takes a very innocent, very young, very simple melody, he does some really mature things with it. It gives our students a chance to show off some of their more expressive playing. You're going to hear lots of loud and fast in just a minute, but this one gives a chance for them to stretch their wings in other ways. This is a childhood hymn by David Holsinger. Percussion gets set up for a piece very, very different than what you just heard, involving lots and lots of little bells and whistles. I want to also acknowledge a couple of other students who are taking advantage of some other opportunities that your students have here at the high school level that perhaps at the middle school level there's a little bit less of an emphasis on, because so much time is being spent learning the fundamentals. When you get to the high school, we have all sorts of other types of instruments that we kind of need covered to play more advanced music. So we have a couple of students who have volunteered. They're either in 2 band classes and so don't want to play the same thing twice, or perhaps, as I've had a couple of students mention, they want to spread their wings a little bit. So if you're a student who is currently learning not your main instrument, if you'll please stand up there for me. Go ahead, Miles. We appreciate their bravery, and especially those of them who are attacking what we call the double reeds. They're just beasts, aren't they? All right. a seat there, guys. Our last piece of the program is probably the most Halloween of the pieces that we have, considering the time of year. This is a march, but it's definitely a march with a little bit of a demented, a little bit of a circusy, like a march kind of in a bad nightmare. This is a piece called Cluster, Fluster, Bluster March. And I'll go ahead and tell you, if you hear a wrong note, it's on purpose. We're going to take just a minute to reset for our second period band. They're going to take about 7-8 minutes to warm them back up and get them tuned.